fate of the universe on the line. I want Iguodala.
Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
Hurry, way downtown. Bang! Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Is this the dagger?
AD shows out the entire fortnight. Lakers climb with all their might. Steph goes deep fake, fools people with the full court make. While Kyrie looks for shelves, we work on ourselves. On the Hashtag Ballers NBA podcast, your favorite NBA podcast in an Indian accent. We are back at it again with episode 10 of season 6. If this is your first time listening to the pod, my name is Ashwin and I request you to go follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and wherever you are listening to this podcast at. In the association this week, Andrew Nembhard got the glorious distinction of becoming one of the only players to be hated equally by Laker fans and Warrior fans. Steph Curry got embroiled in a Sports Illustrated scandal after a fake video of him making a full court shot went viral, and New Orleans Pelicans gained the second seed in the West after beating the Denver Nuggets and their 4-game win streak. Speaking of unexpected, I've got with me as always someone who has seen more NBA games this week than I have in my life, someone who finds photo editing apps with ease but doesn't take many selfies, and someone with a fierce beard but the sweetest smile, my co-host Vineet.
Oh my god. Such praise today, huh?
Do I see a shade of red in your face, Vineet? Are you blushing with
No,
my
I just think
compliments?
it's the light.
It's the light.
The fancy light on top of it.
Tell us, what has this week been about you? You went, happy birthday. I hope fans wished you happy birthday. It was 2 weeks ago, but you've been out of Luxembourg for a while. Tell us about your trips. Tell us about the game that you saw. What is going on? Where are you right now?
So right now I am in San Jose, California. And yeah, the birthday was really good. My wife surprised me with a game between Charlotte Hornets and the Sixers. And it was courtside seats. So not like courtside, but 2 rows behind courtside.
You could see courtside.
Yeah, you could see the courtside very clearly. And it was a great experience because I have watched basketball games before, but it's always from the Raptors, from really tower, and that experience is very different from this experience because when you're sitting here, you can actually see the players huddle. You can see both sides. You can see the huddle. You can see the refs calling out stuff. So it's actually a very cool experience, and I think that someday you will get to have it too. And all you have to do is keep your wife happy. That's the thing. Yeah.
And pray for her success.
अपना तो कुछ होने वाला नहीं है.
नहीं.
Maybe Ramya becomes a big stand-up comic who creates a show for NBA, basketball related, and there are jokes about her basketball broke husband, and then NBA is like, oh, this is really great content. Let's send it.
I think that's a great, that's so possible. That's very, very possible.
Yeah, so it was a great experience, man. I mean, I think also the good part was both teams were pretty bad. So
no Embiid, no Harden, right? For the Sixers, or it was Embiid?
Yeah, no Embiid, no Harden, no Tyrese, no nothing. Their top 4 players were out. The best player was our favorite, the man, the scam artist, Tobias Harris.
Coach's favorite.
Tobias Harris was there, and actually I really like this player from Charlotte Hornets called Richards. He's a backup center, and I think he's really good. I don't know why he hasn't gotten as many minutes as he should get, but obviously he plays for the Charlotte Hornets, which is the answer. But I think he is someone we should just sort of keep an eye on. He's kind of like that. He's got that little Christian Wood, he does all the dirty work, and whenever he gets an opportunity, it's like a bucket. He's got good footwork, everything. I think he was class of 2020 or something, so he's kind of young, but he's really good. Okay. Whenever he was on the court, he was kind of destroying the opponents. So he's my next bol.
You can't have that many bol. Nick Richards, we will watch out for you, Nick Richards. We will tag you and hope that you see our story, and then we'll celebrate it because we find happiness in small things. Coming back, Vineet, today is part 3, the last part of our division-wise look at NBA teams. We are going to look at the
this was supposed to be a pre-season preview, and now we are at 25% of the season.
Now we have a better idea of what we're talking about. Season is not yet started. We are just like 1/4 of
next year we'll get better. Next year it will be before the 10 games.
The two divisions that we're going to talk about today, in the Eastern Conference, it's the Atlantic Division, and in the Western Conference, it's the Northwest Division. So we will start with the Atlantic Division because we always start with the East. So in the Eastern Conference, Atlantic Division, we've got the New York Knicks, the Toronto Raptors, the Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Brooklyn Nets. The funny thing what I thought was when all this is that, apart from Celtics, which are clearly the best team in the league right now, clearly as in Bucks, Celtics, but Celtics clearly much better. Everyone else in this division has a very similar win-loss record. So the New York Knicks are 11-13, Raptors are 12-12, Philadelphia is 12-12, and the Brooklyn Nets are 13-12. So even though we said that the Brooklyn Nets are terrible and oh my god, the Raptors are playing great and New York Knicks suck, they all have very similar records.
Same.
So we will start off obviously with the New York Knicks, who are technically the worst team in this thing. New York Knicks, Vineet, not much has changed. Coach Thibs is still there. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett. They've got a bunch of things
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson is the addition from the Mavericks. So last season,
the best player right now.
Absolutely, best player without doubt. But they're not really.
But clearly, you had some doubt because you didn't even say his name.
I was going to get to him. That's how I work. They're scoring 113 points, which is like sort of mid-level per game. Their field goal percentage is not that great. Their 3-point shooting is sort of league average. Everywhere they're sort of league average except winning, in which they are much below league average. Actually, they're sort of pretty average. New York Knicks has always, we found a lot of fans of the New York Knicks. So nothing much spectacular for them. They looks to be one more of those seasons where nothing is going to happen. What do you think is the point of having this franchise? Long picture.
Whoa. That's like a huge question. I mean, I still stand by my theory, conspiracy theory, which is the New York Knicks lose on purpose. The entire whole point is that New York, there is more love when you have shared pain together. The reason why we still have friends from colleges and schools is because we all went through this tough time of exams and all of these really tough situations together. And I feel like this is the same thing. The management knows they're based in Manhattan, always going to make money. So the question is, how do we make the most money without spending the most money? And so the way to do that is to be really bad or show glimmers of hope. That's called torture. A true torture is when you have solitary confinement with a window. Yeah.
The hope.
So that's kind of what it is. And I think it's brilliant. They have the most rabid fans. New York has one of the most rabid fan bases. We had one of our guests
Pete Croato. Yeah.
And he talked about how difficult it was for him to give away his New York. Even though they never won, he never pain and suffering kind of traps you in this really nice cocoon of misery. And if you have shared misery, you can monetize it. So I think that's the plan.
I had once asked one of my seniors at work about, we were talking about something, and then he talked about how for some people pain is the pleasure. And the example that he gave me was, what Guthka is, right? What people, tambaku, they keep in their mouth and they chew it. So he talked about how that Guthka actually has powdered glass inside it. So what people, when they put it inside between their lips and the thing, what the glass does is it bruises the gums and causes bleeding. And this tobacco enters the bloodstream through that. And that's how it gives them, that's the pleasure of chewing tobacco. I mean, especially this Guthka kind of.
Guthka.
The Guthka, not tobacco technically, but the Guthka part of it. So he talked about, And that man was like a very educated, he was like a senior engineer and all that in the company that he was working at. And he was having this tobacco, like Guthka thing. His teeth are all completely like charred up. But he talked about how much the pleasure that was there of doing this, which is why he continued to do this. He didn't care whether, it was good or bad.
It's exactly that. And, and you have to show a little bit of hope once in like 4 or 5 years, or like you should do one good move where they're like, oh yes, and like, I think it's a vicious cycle. And I think it's perfect the way. I don't think you need to change anything. New York real estate is always going to be New York real estate. It's never going to go down. So I fully support everything that New York management. I think it's super smart. The fans need it. The fans, like,
bring down the arrogance.
If they start winning, I feel like they'll get like too pompous. They would
bless you.
Come together. So the only way to come together is through misery.
One way to look
veterans come together, like veterans, like war veterans. They're like, oh yes, we fought the Vietnam War, or we fought the Kargil War. It's like, no, you did something extremely shitty, and like you're bonding
supported the Knicks together. Okay, all right.
Our misery of our basketball podcast not making any views is also bonding us together. If we were both successful, if our podcast was very successful, we would have infighting. It'd be like, oh, he's getting more attention, I'm getting more attention. So
this is what is keeping us together. Like the lack of success is. I love this. This is it for all the New York Knicks fans. I think you guys just love misery, and the management has understood that. It's easier to replicate failure than it is to replicate success. That's what it is.
Exactly.
We'll now move on from the New York Knicks to the other side of the border, the Toronto Raptors. A lot of promise. They started off with a lot of promise, but they haven't been able to play that well. 12-12 is their record. 8th in the Eastern Conference. 22nd in points per game. 12th in rebounds per game. 7th in opponents' points per game. They've shown flashes, but Scottie Barnes has not been able to live up to his Rookie of the Year hype. Pascal Siakam comes, does amazing things and goes back to injury. Fred VanVleet took that $80 million and just disappeared. He's like, my wife is not putting out any more babies, so I'm not putting out any more great seasons. That is all I have, gentlemen. I have a ring. You all figure your own. Apna dekh lo sab log. That kind of attitude. We've got main scorers. We've got Pascal Siakam, obviously, 25 points. OG Anunoby, he's played really good. Like, I had to say that. Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, Scottie Barnes, Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, and sort of it just dwindles down from there. Siakam is not of the mold of any of these superstars, even though he keeps knocking on the doors of it. Do you feel that they have a better chance if he leaves and they get someone else, or is Pascal Siakam?
No, I don't.
Is it possible that he's a second best player on a championship team?
He is a second best player of the championship today. I think that he has all the tools. Like, he's got the frame, he's got the body, he's got the athleticism, he's got the touch, he's got everything. I feel like maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I mean, very difficult because he was a all-star. He was all NBA last year. So it's not like he's. I mean, if you had to say Pascal Siakam is an all NBA player, it would be, he's an all NBA player. But I think that the East has just been a little wonky. Siakam has been injured, so he's coming back from injury. So it's not like
he's only played 14 games this season.
Yeah, I feel Toronto Raptors are a good team. They will figure it out. Will they be a great team? No, but they'll be competitive. They have a good coaching staff. They have good players. Like, you're right, Fred VanVleet has sort of. I mean, we talked about Fred VanVleet not passing the ball, right, to Kawhi.
To Kawhi.
Which this is like just the funniest thing. It was so obvious anyway. The point being that he is kind of like that, it's just like, and for good reason, he wasn't, he had to really claw his way up. So he's just like, okay, let me just secure the bag for now, which he did. And now he's kind of coasting. I think the future of the Raptors is really good because they got two very good players in Scottie Barnes and OG Anunoby. Like, they can be like the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen of the Raptors.
Toronto. Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying, but because they both are good defensively and they both can do things offensively, and they're kind of of the same size, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
They're both like 6'8", 6'9".
Scotty Barnes is a little more.
Yeah. So I feel like that's the core. I think if they can develop that, and you have Pascal Siakam, who's sort of the bet at this point. And so they have like three very, very good players, very high level IQ, high athleticism, high defense. So they have three very good players. And now the question is, how do they build the roster around it? Is Scotty Barnes an all NBA player? We don't know yet, right? Like he was rookie of the year last year, right?
Yeah.
And for good reason, he was really, really good.
No,
so
I feel like
sort
of on the fritz this season. Like only 14.5 points. He's scoring less than 50% from the field. 3-point shooting is bad.
What happens is like when you go from a role player where like you're basically not, there are no plays run for you. You're doing the dirty work. You're crashing the boards. You're doing those kind of things to like, okay, now there's a play going to be run for you. Defense is on you. That transition takes a while for anybody. Unless that person is already like a Luka or like where it's been their role all the time, you know. So I think Scotty Barnes is really special. So we'll see how it goes, because I think it's kind of like Kawhi. I feel he's just very Kawhi-ish in the way he plays.
A little bit more bulkier though than Kawhi.
Yeah. But then young Kawhi, right?
Kawhi though, we see him once Eid ka chand.
Once in a blue moon. He's just like, I will come when I come. And when I come, it will be dangerous.
Then I'll be gone. Then I'll come back. We don't know how this goes. We'll talk about the Philadelphia 76ers next. Not because they are like the third worst team, but they are also sort of grappling a lot through injuries, trying to figure out how can they give the ball to Tobias Harris, which is the biggest concern for them. How can we save Doc Rivers' job because he has a mortgage to pay? And
exactly.
How can we do all this while living in one of the worst places for a bad team to stay in, which is Philadelphia? It's not that they have been bad, but the expectation from Philadelphia is crazy. Like when James Harden comes back and they have the best.
He's already back.
He came back like one game ago. That they lost to the Rockets. But when you have the expectation is that when Joel Embiid, one of the two best centers in the league, offensively the best center, like pure, like one-on-one sort of offense, huge numbers that he puts up. It is ridiculous to think that team is still at the 500 mark. He's played 16 games.
Yeah.
Like, James Harden has only played 10 games. Injury has definitely been a major part of their challenge to get any sort of rhythm going. But they've lost games which they should not have lost. There's something which is really not helping any of them, like, get some.
No. I mean, I think we're being too harsh on the Sixers. I just looked at it because I was thinking about it, like, where are these teams in the ranking? So I was just looking at it, and all these four teams, which is Nets, Sixers, Raptors, and New York Knicks, are one win away from 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So there are three teams that are way above everybody, right? Which is the Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks, and Cavaliers. And after that, there's this huge pool of teams. And if you look at those teams, Philadelphia 76ers is the only team that hasn't had their best players for a long time, for the longest time. So I think the Sixers are going to, once they have a healthy, not even like a fully healthy Joel Embiid and James Harden, but just on the floor Embiid, on the floor Harden, they will move up to the 4 or 5 spot. And if they can kind of somehow manage to get help by the playoffs, it's a very dangerous team. Which we saw initially. Like initially they were playing really good. What James Harden was averaging on 30, they dropped like 4 30-point games with like 12 rebounds, 12 assists and all this stuff.
Yeah, but
so I am not.
Whatever little sample we have of this James Harden playing, Embiid not playing, Embiid playing, Harden not playing, Harden and Embiid both playing, and Harden and Embiid both not playing. It's almost like when they both play, none of them is sure about who's the Kobe and who's the Shaq.
Yeah.
Whereas it should be very clear that Embiid is the Shaq and Harden is the Kobe. Like the deference has to be there because not just because Embiid is younger, but because he is the more
Also
dominant player. Yeah, and he's the player who can really change the game. If he is happy on the offensive end, he is very happy on the defensive end, blocking shots, making sure the rebounds are there, establishing that presence. So that's what I felt because I'm sure that there's a lot of frustration for Joel Embiid because as one of the best big men in this era, he has not even come close to winning the championship. Playoff, he's never been able to take his team past.
Have they been to the conference finals?
No, they've not been to the conference finals.
They almost made the conference finals last year, not last year, the year before.
No, the year before when Hawks beat them after being down 3-2. So, it must be frustrating him. So it could be that he's thinking that maybe I was a little too dominant. Maybe I was asking for the ball too much. Maybe I need to ask less and pass the ball more and be less demanding instead of it could be that I don't want to step on this because Harden is not like a Ben Simmons. Harden is a proper bona fide MVP of the league. He's like a scoring machine. All of that when he's healthy, right? So maybe there's a bit of that. They're not able to figure out where the good point is, where he can be dominating as well as, gracious in his distribution of the ball. Like he's not a Luka kind of a ball usage guy, but maybe he's trying to be a little bit more like a LeBron James sort of just, here's the wealth. Attention is on me, here's the wealth. Instead of attention is on me, let me punish them, let me do this, let me do that. Any thoughts on that sort of a Joel Embiid angle?
No, I think Joel Embiid should just become I think big men other than Jokic, I think Jokic is very, very special. Big men, they have to be extremely aggressive, right? They have to keep pounding the paint, keep dunking the ball. I mean, I don't know which podcast this was, but I think it is Thinking Basketball podcast where this guy talks about Shaq. When Shaq was playing in the Lakers, it was like a wrecking ball, right? Mm-hmm. The whole point of Shaq was not to, Shaq was he would destroy your confidence for the opponents. It's just, once you play Shaq in a playoff series, it's all you can think of when you wake up and sleep is how do we even stop this guy? You forget there's a Kobe, you forget that there is a Phil Jackson, you forget everything. All you can do is you wake up and you can see Shaq. That's all you can do. And it was Kenyon Martin's thing where he said listen, Kobe was there and Kobe was great, but no one woke up thinking, how do we stop Kobe? Nobody woke up thinking that. All we did was think. And that was the problem. The problem was you had so much focus on Shaq, you forgot that you had Kobe on the other side, who would destroy you, right? And I think that's sort of what Embiid should try to do. Is he should just be such a wrecking ball of a machine. Even if he's not he should just, because he's a big guy and he's got footwork and he can be dominant and he's got that little bit of oomph. You should just dunk, take 50 people and dunk. Just be that person where people be oh shit, how do you stop Joel Embiid? And then James Harden is dropping 40 on you. That's what I think that was what Kenyon was we would think about Shaq all the time, and then Kobe is dropping 40 on us. What the hell? It's you can't win, right? Yeah, who is this guy? we forgot about this guy.
From whatever I've seen of Embiid and all, he doesn't seem to have that little I will destroy your head. Have you seen? You've seen Game of Thrones, right? You've seen the mountain destroy a person's head, squish it.
Yeah.
Not even metaphorically, literally squish someone's head. That takes a little bit of anger. That takes a little bit of that. When you lose in basketball, suddenly you get this anger thing, and then you start calling silly fouls, and then you start using your butt to move people out of the way, and then you keep traveling and doing that. But that comes from a place of deep, no, I don't want to lose. I hate losing, that kind of thing. I think Embiid is a little bit softer on that terms. He's okay with taking what they give him instead of no, I will take whatever I want. Sort of a.
Yeah, it's sort of what Bill Russell talked about Will Chamberlain. I don't know if you said The way I stop Will Chamberlain is by not stopping him.
I'll just
if
let
I
him
made
score.
it, just let him score, because till he is scoring, others are not getting the points.
Yeah,
he does what he wants. I mean, I would make it a little bit difficult for him, but I would not try to like block his shots or make it so difficult, because an angry Will is unstoppable. Like, even if you try.
So, okay, all right. Let's move on to the next team, which is the Brooklyn Nets.
Or is it just KD?
It's just KD and a bunch of people on two-way contracts. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Royce O'Neal, Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton, Joe Harris, Seth Curry coming back from injury, Yuta Watanabe, who's like, I really like Yuta Watanabe. I saw him play in the FIBA World Cup for Japan, and I was like, okay, this man pretty good. TJ Warren, TJ Warren,
the Bubble
Kobe. That bubble was a great thing. They should bring back the bubble every 5 years, just as a reminder.
It's a good idea.
Let's see what the bubble can do to some people. This team, I really don't know much what to say, except like Ben Simmons has only played 17 games. Kyrie has only played 17 games, but not out of injury, but just out of like, I don't care enough about playing basketball. I mean, if I was playing with Kevin Durant, I'd be like, whenever you give me the ball, I'll just take one dribble and then pass the ball back to Kevin Durant. It's like, Kevin Durant, here, take it. Show me what you got.
No, you would not do that. Knowing you would not do that. You would be like Russell Westbrook. Yes, I am as good as Kevin Durant. even though all facts, stats, everything say not as good as Kevin Durant, I believe.
Whatever. Don't insult Russell Westbrook. I just realized something, that this Nets have taken away the joy of watching Kevin Durant. Like, it's like when Kevin Durant plays, he takes 15 shots, he scores 25, 30 points, and the game is always like, okay, comfortable win for. Like, he used to do that with far less talent in Oklahoma City Thunder when Westbrook and Harden were injured. Like, there was a season when none of them were there.
2014. His magnus opus.
His MVP year. He would win those games with Steven Adams and not even Ennis Cantor, like Andre Roberson, Kevin Martin, like some random names. You will never hear those names again. Like Raymond Felton and all was his point guard. Reggie Jackson was there.
No, I feel, I think 2014 is his like magnus opus. Like, you will go back and like, it's like the 2012 of LeBron. It's like just too good.
Whatever. Like, 55 games he won with the Thunder that year. 55 plus. And he won with far less talent, and now he has so much talent around him. And
in the West also,
whatever it is, he won the MVP, and now it's difficult for us to imagine him ever competing for a championship again, which is very sad. As a former Durant hater, it's now like
former. Oh, you have moved on from hating Durant.
I mean, this so long ago. Now he's in the Nets. It's like karma has worked out, and like, it's a decent place now. But that's my point, that I can't, it's not really a good place for Kevin Durant to be at. Like, how can he be happy, like, playing like this and not being able to beat teams that he would have beat with his eyes closed 2-3 years, like, 4 or 5 years ago, easily would have done that. So that's a little sad thing for me. But otherwise, Brooklyn Nets, their defense is bad. They can't rebound. They get out rebounded every single game. You can only score so much, but you have to stop people also, right? Like, that's how you win games. You score more than the other teams. They score, the other team also scores. And their scoring is not even that amazing, remarkable or something. Kyrie Irving comes in, he's sort of like, Lord knows what he's gonna bring in today. Ben Simmons comes for 2 games, then goes back for 3 days, doesn't really play much. It's a really sort of sad basketball team to watch. Okay, we'll move on to the last team in this division. It's the best team in the NBA by record and by stats and by attitude and by whatever it is. They let go of a sexual offender and they found one Mahatma Gandhi sort of person as their new coach. The Boston Celtics. Number 1 offensively, number 5 or 6 defensively, first in points per game, 121 points per game, 9th in assists per game. Opponents field goes sort of middle, rebounding not the best, but they are shooting the most threes. They are making the most threes. Accuracy is off the charts. Bench is crazy. They found new ways of defending shots. They're asking people to jump in front of the hoop itself. This is some next level defending of the 3-point line that is happening. Jason Tatum playing at an MVP level. Finally, he's showing that Jason is greater than Jalen, which I've been saying for 5 years now.
Whoa. Okay. Let's calm down on that.
That's all true. 31 points per game on 48, 36 and 87 shooting splits.
Yeah, but how many shots is he taking?
He's taking only 21 shots.
And how much is Jalen taking?
19 shots, 20 shots, 19.7 shots. They're both taking
and
shots.
What's their difference? Difference in point is 3 points.
You have to take shots. Only the smart people can take shots. He's shooting more free throws.
If you give Jalen 2 more shots, he'll be averaging the same as Jason Tatum.
Otherwise, otherwise they are very similar. Stat-wise, they are all very, very similar. I'm just saying. That Jaylen Brown is I just want to remind you, Jaylen Brown is a supporter of Kyrie Irving's nonsense. He just has not said it that way, but he has, in many slight comments, he has said those. In many slight tweets, he has supported Kyrie Irving. That's all I want to say. And I will.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yes. Okay. Now the opinion has changed. Screw this.
Who, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum?
Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum, I don't know. He doesn't have much of a personality outside. He doesn't have much of a personality. Anyway, Vineet, from last season,
Jaylen Brown was anti-vax also.
Correct, exactly. So,
yeah.
I just wanna.
See, I don't hate Kyrie for his. You can have an opinion, but don't screw up the team. That's my point. Like Jaylen Brown didn't screw up the team's chemistry because of all this.
Absolutely. Last year they went to the finals, got demolished by the Warriors because Warriors have played more finals than they have seen.
Demolished to nahi bolenge, not demolished.
They
self-destructed.
After game 3, they did not win a single game. Like lost 3 games continuously, which is they weren't even close. The games are not even close. They lost at home also. That's all I'm saying. My point is that after that, it's a very demoralizing defeat. They come back, they get Malcolm Brogdon into the team, keep most of their crew together. They get Blake Griffin, which is not that great of a move, but it's we love Blake Griffin.
I love how he does one dunk and there are 15 memes turning back the clock of time.
Especially after that controversy surrounding the last coach, Joe Mazzulla comes in, does a seamless job. The core is intact. Almost all of them are still with the team. They look set to get at least to the conference finals where they will face the Bucks probably, and that'll be a good series. If Chris Middleton is back. There was a lot of talk about they didn't have to face Middleton and the Bucks. They just had to face Giannis, and you focused their efforts on him. Whichever game I have seen of the Celtics, which I've seen 5-6 games of the Celtics, confidence for them is through the roof. Led always by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They are the ones who are always looking for any opportunity to attack. That's the reason that they have the most points per game. Even adjusted for pace, they are the offensive rating wise, net rating, defensive rating. All of them very, very good numbers because they are constantly switching. The defense is we will switch everything. Let's see if you can break that sort of switch. And I don't know, as well as a team can come back from losing in the finals, very sad loss in the finals, as well as they could have come back, they have come back. Do you think that this season they can take that next step? Do you think that they can beat a healthy Bucks? That's my question.
Can they beat a healthy Bucks?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I feel like a healthy Bucks. I think Giannis is too much, man, for anybody. He's like Shaq. It's not easy to build, stop Giannis. Even with no help, with a pretty okay team, he took the Celtics to Game 7, right? Yeah. And it was it was almost a buzzer beater, right? The final game. So a healthy Bucks, I feel would be quite a challenge for the Celtics even today. But having said that, Celtics have their own strengths. The 2Js are amazing, but they are not overpowering. So that's what the Warriors kind of exposed is if you really try to defend them and you jump between the lanes, you don't let them take easy dribbles. They're not very good ball handlers, so you will always get those turnovers. They will not be able to they're not off ball. They're not great. So, and I don't see that improved this year. I think they haven't learned the actual mistake, the one mistake they did. It's not like there are other things that, okay, you can improve. But the thing that the Warriors really harped on is the two Jays have like 80%, 85% of possession and they're horrible at ball handling. Mm-hmm. Especially Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is really bad at ball handling. So if you put like extreme focus on them, they will turn over the ball, and then that will take away their confidence that they can drive it, because all their offenses, these two Jays kind of driving, it's like two knights in chess. You know how the knights in chess, they just get into your defense, right? That's how
it's very difficult for you to, exactly.
Yeah, especially two Jays once they, right? So it's go in, kick out, go in, kick out, go in, kick out. So that's their whole offense, right? And if you can reduce that, the whole Boston Celtics, and I don't think they've improved that. I don't think their ball handling is better. I don't think with Malcolm Brogdon now, I think that there is a little bit of stability with the ball handling, because Malcolm Brogdon is not a bad ball handler, but who knows how he will be when the pressure is on him, right? So I feel like, but DiVincenzo is not in Milwaukee Bucks anymore, right? He's
Bucks, no.
Warriors.
No. Connaughton is there, DiVincenzo.
I'm trying to figure out who are the two people.
But they've got Grayson Allen and they've got like a lot of 3-point shooting.
No, I mean, who are going to be the defenders? Who are going to defend the Jays? So I feel like you have
Middleton and Jrue Holiday. They'll probably put Jrue
Holiday is old now. He's not that. I mean, he's a good defender, smart defender.
He's a better defender than he's an offender.
Yeah, but the Jays are very good. At some point, the offense is always potent with defense.
No, you're right. I mean, Jrue Holiday is not the same young buck he was 2 years ago when they won the championship.
Yeah. And he has had an injury also.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, who is going to stop Giannis? And how are they going to stop him? If Giannis decides, I want to drop 40, 45 every game, he can. And it's just the Shaq things. Like, you wake up and you think, oh shit, like, Giannis. And then, like, Chris Middleton drops 35 on you. And you're like, oh, Chris Middleton was here. So
damn it.
Damn it, we forgot. We forgot about this guy.
Of course, Celtics, best team in the East, best team in the NBA also. Very modern NBA sort of a team it is. Like, everybody can switch all positions. Everybody can sort of play all areas of the court.
Yeah, I mean, they are the best team. The question is, like, are they going to win the championship? Are they going to be able to win against the Bucks or whoever comes out of the West?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Have they fixed the holes that were there?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Okay, all right. This it seems like a pattern right now. So I will move on to the next conference itself. We've got the Northwest Division. Once upon a time ruled by the Oklahoma City Thunder, but not anymore. So we will talk about
not anymore for the last like 10 years now. Let's
not 10 years, maybe 2-3 years. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder, we've got the Denver Nuggets, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Utah Jazz, and the Portland Trail Blazers.
So the reason why we talked a lot about the East is because those are more interesting teams than
absolutely.
Yes, so of these three teams, what Utah Jazz, Portland, OKC. So these three teams are tanking anyway. So they're Wemby teams. We don't have to really talk about them.
You're saying Utah Jazz is a Wemby team?
I think Utah Jazz. Portland,
last week they were number one in the West. Not last week.
But that was
that was the Orlando Magic effort.
Yeah, so I think they had a very easy schedule. They had Lauri Markkanen coming off the FIBA,
FIBA hype. Jason Clarkson forgetting that he's from Philippines.
Now they're number 9. Minnesota is number 11. OKC is number 12. It's a Wemby team. So and Portland is also like coming down now. They're number 8. So I feel like we don't
There's
have to
no point talking about it. What a great suggestion this is, Vineet. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the Wemby team we don't have to talk about.
What about Minnesota though? Minnesota, because
So we'll talk about Minnesota. Yeah, we'll talk about Minnesota.
Just a second.
So I thought Minnesota was interesting till Karl Anthony Towns went off with the injury. So without Karl Anthony Towns, the only thing that they can hope for is Anthony Edwards becomes Michael Jordan like his father. He's got to. I mean, come on. Are you not saying that there are some like little Michael Jordans running around?
There are some unknown Michael Jordans in this world, definitely. Easily.
I feel like that's the only thing that we can talk about. Everything else has been a disaster. There's nothing to really talk about Minnesota. Also, like I feel like they could just throw in their hat in.
Okay,
with Karl
I just wanted to ask you this, like, because I remember when we talked about the whole the Rudy Gobert trade, like they gave away people to get Rudy Gobert, and I don't want to say convinced because I don't remember what I was, but I was very sure that it is going to be so interesting to see how they operate a 4 and a 5, where the 5 can't shoot threes for anything, he can't stretch the floor. Now what you've done is you basically put Karl Anthony Towns out there, and instead of making any sort of impact in the center by dominating the paint, one guy is happy scoring from outside, the other guy is happy not scoring from inside. Like Rudy Gobert is getting the same treatment from Anthony Edwards that he used to get from Donovan Mitchell. Like ball is not passing to him. So right
even
now,
less.
Even less. So now that you know the thing that is going on, what would you rate this particular trade?
The trade, I think, was a smart trade. I think it was a winning trade. The problem really is that it was maybe too hopeful by the Timberwolves that Edwards is mature enough to understand where he is in his journey of growth, and that like he has to take the team up because he is the best player on the team.
Yeah,
he has the potential to be the best player on the team, but he has to get buy-in from everybody. Right now, Rudy Gobert thinks he's the best because he has this massive contract. You know, he just won the FIBA World Cup. You know, he's the shit. You know what I'm saying? Karl Anthony Towns, I don't know. You know,
3-point shooting champion.
Yeah, 3-point shooting. Like, they have all these like ego, but essentially, for a successful basketball dynasty, you need a great, like, transcendent, you know, star. And that's what Anthony Edwards is.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I thought he had, like when you hear him talk, he seems like he has the mental fortitude, because, you know, when he was talking about like how he used to talk to Karl Anthony Towns, like, hey man, you're the best center. Like he had that, like, okay, you're the best center. You know, why don't you do this? Why don't you be more aggressive? But I think adding Rudy to the mix, and Rudy is French, condescending. You know, French, this is how French people are. They just are that way. Like there's no getting around that. And maybe he's just not gelling with Rudy. You know, and whereas Rudy is actually a good, like if you actually take out the personalities and just say, okay, you have a defensive center who all he does is like run towards the basket, gives you good screens, dunks the ball. Anthony Edwards, a player like Anthony Edwards, like, that's what I want, right? Of that caliber and defense, where you like, Anthony Edwards is not a great defender, so like he's going to make mistakes. So all he has to do is not really defend, but funnel, right? And you funnel it to Rudy. Yeah. So I thought that Anthony Edwards had that fortitude. Okay, like I don't really like this guy. He's a kind of a dick. But if I can work with him, it could be a great pairing, right? Because Karl Anthony is going to do his thing. Like you really don't have to worry about it. You know, he's not I don't think he's a
transcendental.
What's the word? Transcendental. I don't think transcendental is the word, but star. Like, you know, he's had his opportunity to be it, and he has proven to not be it. So, but he'll give you like a 25. You know, he decent field goal percentage, everything. Superstar, but not about Cat. But now Cat is gone. So I feel like they will give Anthony Edwards the keys of the team, and if Edwards can figure it out mentally to work with Rudy, and Rudy can understand, listen man, Rudy's like 31, 32, I think, right? It's 30s. Like this was my last big contract. I'm not going to get another contract if I don't really show people what I can do, right? So, at some point, like, they have to understand and figure it out and work it out together.
We will now talk about the only team which matters in this division, which is the Denver Nuggets, the home of the two-time defending MVP. They got Jamal Murray back. Michael Porter Jr. just did not play today's game against the Mavericks, which they lost, but he's there. Jokic doing his thing, 23, 10 and 9 assists. I mean, that man has not taken a step back from his MVP season. Probably won't get the MVP this season because people are like, no, can't do it 3 times in a row. But what is your, like, have you been watching the Nuggets game first? And secondly, like, what do you think their ceiling is for this year?
Yeah, I watched a few Nuggets games. I don't think that they were going to be a bad team. I think that, Jokic is going to make sure they're a top 3 or 4 team. I mean, I have a lot of vested in the Jokic story, so like I watch these games.
You have to support.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel that something is not. They don't have like a real strategy of how to play Jamal, Porter, Jokic, Highland, Aaron, like in an offense that's not conjured up by Jokic at that second. It's like give the ball to Jokic, and Jokic will figure out what needs to be done. And I don't think that's a successful. Like I think ideally in an ideal situation, there should be a game plan. There should be some amount of like set offense that a team runs. Set offense type a team runs. And when all fails, you give it to the smartest IQ person who makes a play that gets you success. Like that's generally what you expect of a good basketball game. And Jokic has become, because Jokic is 2-time MVP and is so smart, they're relying on him too much to generate offense every single time they go down the floor. And I think that's a mistake. I think you need to have set plays where Jokic can be comfortable and say, I don't have to really think through this because this is a play that we have practiced so much. I'm not even involved in this play.
I'm just in the corner.
I'm in the corner. If the play breaks, I get the ball. I'm a decoy, I'm gonna attract people anyways, two defenders towards me. So those kind of things I didn't see them do in the games that I watched. Right? Which I think is a problem. I feel like Jokic, as good as Jokic is, we saw what happened with the Suns. We saw what happened with the Warriors. They kind of figured him out. Right? They figured him out offensively as a scorer. And I don't see him making any of those changes yet. Like as a scorer, he's getting more and more into like being an assist and trying to get Aaron Gordon and all these guys, which is the right thing to do. But I feel like at some point there has to be set plays that doesn't involve Jokic to get Aaron Gordon or Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. open looks. And Jokic is just a decoy. Like Jokic doesn't have to be involved in every single play because when teams are planning for the Nuggets, they're only planning for Jokic at this point.
Yeah.
Right? And they're not really waking up and saying, how do we stop Michael Porter Jr.? How do we stop Jamal Murray? Right? So when you have set plays for these players and they know exactly what to do, other players know what to do when these players are getting their shots. Jokic is the decoy. Jokic is like, okay, I'm going to take the defenders. I'm going to create space. But I don't have to use my mental space. I can rest a little bit. I don't have to think. I don't have to make sure, like, I feel like that part, I don't think they figured it out. So for me, Michael Malone has to be a better coach. He cannot rely on this savant to do everything for the team. Yeah, that's the problem I see. Because you can see, right, his scoring has dropped, his assists have gone up. He's making sure everybody gets like 15 points. Like he's doing this so that he is creating parity. He's making sure the ball is getting distributed, all of that stuff. So this is too much is expected of him, like every single play.
I think I have a little bit different view because I'm not in love with Jokic as much as you are. I think that once Jamal Murray finds his feet, he's a little bit more comfortable. He starts shooting the three a little bit better. He gets into that flow. I think it'll take some pressure off of Jokic. As to whether Jokic is ready to give up that space, I don't know. But I think once Jokic has a little bit more faith in Jamal Murray, I think that sort of thing will happen. Because I saw a little bit of something in that today's fourth quarter against the Mavericks that Jokic wanted to defer and he wanted Jamal Murray to take the ball from him, get that screen, take the ball and do his thing. But because Jamal Murray wasn't shooting very well and he was not very confident, he was not getting those shots that he usually gets, I think Jokic was like, okay, now I only have to do something. I have to figure it out because I've tried this entire game. I've tried to get him going. It was not going for him. So I guess now I have to take charge of it back. That's it for this episode. This is all the teams that we've covered. Show us some love. Show us that love and like, share, subscribe, do all the jazz. And we will catch you for the next episode. Till then, Vineet, say bye-bye.
Bye.